Hi everyone, Angelina Sparkling Diva doing another pick a card reading, and I have yet to think of a title, but what the reading is going to be about is where you are right now after we've had all these intense energies of the Lion's Gate, full moons, solar flares, and so on and so forth. Basically where you are after all that, what that brought you, what you have achieved, and so on. And we're also going to look at what you shouldn't do if you want to hold on to where you have gotten by now. And we're going to end it with a unicorn card. I was just showing you all the decks I'm going to use. I will do that again in a minute. But I ended up talking to myself. I had switched off recording, so it wasn't really helpful. So I'm first going to do this, and then after the choosing, before I get into the reading, I will show you the decks, the 3 decks I'm going to use in case you want to know, right? For the numbers 1, I have a green Madagascar opal. For the numbers 2, an Oregon opal. For the numbers 3, a Machu Picchu stone. And in case that upsets you to hear that, no, it's not a stone from the temple, from Machu Picchu temple or the power place there. It's just called that. It's also in one of Judy Hall's crystal Bibles. I assume it's mined somewhere in Peru, and it's just called Machu Picchu stone. But not taken from the temple, of course. That wouldn't even be allowed. So a Madagascar opal, numbers 1, numbers 2, Oregon opal, numbers 3, a Machu Picchu stone. Or you can go for the card that's behind the crystals. This is, of course, then one card from the set for numbers 1, 2, and 3. So if you tune in and make your choice, if you wish to know which decks I'm going to use, then please hang on before you go to the timestamp, and I will show you the decks. So as promised, the 3 decks that I'm going to use: the Enchanted Map, the Dark Goddess Oracle, which I like to use to see, just move that up a bit higher, what you shouldn't do. It's a really wonderful card deck. It's I've never seen someone else use it, I don't think, for pick a card readings. It's really, it's I love it. It's an outstanding deck. And then the unicorn card to finish off your reading. All right, now I'm gonna start with the first set for numbers 1. I will see you at your own set of your choice. Right, numbers 1, we have here Sacred Pool, Peaks of Joy, with the master number 33, and we have Movement, and you are at the moment in a really good place. The Sacred Pool, it's just everything has come together, has worked out. You're in a place of peace and joy, and it's just all wonderful. You see that with peaks of joy as well, right? It's just, yeah, you're in a very, very good place where you can relax and be you, and just a big sigh of relief, maybe even, maybe it has been quite difficult for you, or maybe not so much, but no matter what, you're in a really good place right now. What is important though, because we have movement as well, is that you can't stay in the same place where you are anymore. That doesn't have to be literally, of course. It basically is just a message that you shouldn't become complacent here, because this is such a nice place. You can just float here and be there and do nothing and just let it blur, and enjoy it all. And that's wonderful at times to do as well, and sometimes that's very much needed. And you don't have to let go of that. You don't have to let go of that feeling, but you still have to do things and move, and right, because otherwise you're going to stay here for let's say for the rest of your life. That's an exaggeration, of course, but you still have to move forward and do things, because there's also other places to enjoy and other people to meet and things to do that just could even enhance this, right? So, and it can also be that you actually feel an urge to move forward, that you feel you really want that. Maybe there's been something going on for you before you got to this state of mind, state of being, that limited you, restricted you, that didn't feel so good, or gave you a lot of stress and worries. And then now, if that's released and you get in this state, then you can have a natural, desire, urge to finally be free and spread your wings and fly. And that's also movement, right? So, and then with this, it's also saying that movement is a state of mind, right? So doesn't necessarily mean you have to get up and get going and do stuff, and not necessarily. It can be more an emotional thing, a mental thing, um, shift in thoughts and feelings, that, right? Energetically as well. But whatever, however that is for you, it is important that you do not just stay here for years on end, so to speak, right? That's again an exaggeration. You still have to, you didn't come here to just float happily in that pool. You still have a purpose, and you're in a really good place right now to do something with that. And let's look at what you shouldn't do, and must be wary of, because that could ruin that good feeling. Then we have Pythia and Tiamat, knowledge and control. And the knowledge, basically, the first card is saying that it is also time for you to do something with your knowledge and your wisdom. I'd rather use that word, wisdom. And you can spread that and maybe help others. Maybe you want to be a teacher. And that, again, I always say that it doesn't have to say that you start giving workshops, right? It can be just helping your friends or family, and you can be a coach without actually being a coach. A smile here and there in a shop, in the street, whatever, that can do so much for people. It also says that not to rely too much on other people's knowledge and wisdom, because then you might be led astray or off your own path. You have enough wisdom within. So follow your own wisdom, your own knowledge, your own guidance. Don't rely and become dependent on other people too much. If you had a tendency to do that, then it's time now to not do that so much anymore, or to become more selective with whom you listen to, whom you follow. And the control thing is also interesting, because it could then be that you let yourself be controlled by other people, can be by other people's guidance and knowledge and wisdom, because maybe you didn't really stand up, right? Because, well, maybe you felt like, who am I to do that, to think that? But if that's the case, if that resonates, then you shouldn't do that anymore, right? That really goes together then. But it's also for you, another message is that allow things to unfold naturally. So also don't try to take control of things yourself too much. Sometimes we have to, of course, right? Just use common sense. But in general, allow things to just unfold naturally, and trust that the outcome will be perfect. Especially now you're in that great place, right? Then energetically you will attract the right thing. You're going in the right direction. You're going with the flow. If you then exert control, you're starting to row against the flow again, and that's not good. That's a shame if you do that. So that's what you have to be mindful of, to not do either of these things. And then we're going for your last card. Right, your last card is the Be a Beacon, be an inspiration, light the way for other people. And well, that came up already with the knowledge card from Pythia. Hang about, there we are, that should be properly focused. And it says that you are a way shower, you're a beacon, and you illuminate the path for other people and you give them hope. And you don't have to do anything in particular for that, like I already said earlier, right? And just being yourself and just, yeah, that is enough to touch people energetically, to lift them up and make them feel better. And you may find that many people are drawn to you. And again, you don't have to do anything in particular for that. Just be yourself. What you can do is try to shine as much light as you possibly can. And for that, it is important that you also are properly grounded. And of course, connected to the cosmos, etc., etc. But if you're in such a good place, as we saw earlier, you already are. But do make sure you're properly grounded. And that's deep, deep, deep into the earth, not just a foot or something. Go deep. And then you're a proper conduit for the energies, which is marvelous. It feels good to. And if you're just being yourself, then you are already helping other people, and you might touch people to even wake up spiritually. So this is your last card for this reading, and I'm not certain if actually all these unicorn cards have a. No, they don't, because what? Well, there are more, but what stands out to me is this rainbow. This rainbow light here. Rainbow is a very, very high energy, so you might relate to that. And if you have affinity for working with unicorns, well, do that. Call on your unicorns. Just go in meditation, visualization, and just call on your unicorn and see what happens. Focus on your causal chakra. That's just a few centimeters above your head, above the crown. That might actually help, because that's the portal that unicorns can connect with us, right? So anyhow, I'm gonna leave it at this, otherwise I'm gonna be talking for another 10 minutes. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you again, I hope. Bye. Right, numbers 2. Your 3 cards, the first 3 cards are Bone Collector, Rescue, and Unexpected Visitors. Now, the Bone Collector is a very interesting card. It speaks of old wounds that basically have defined you, like in a child stuff, or something that happened when you were, well, usually it's from childhood, like when you were a child and you took that on board as the truth. While in actual fact, it wasn't the truth, it isn't the truth, but you lived the rest of your life taking that as the truth, and made that your gauge, your normal. And that's not so, because this is where you are right now. I think you have discovered this, or you have already healed it, and then that's why this comes up, or you're still busy with it. But the Bone Collector comes to tell you that there's no sorry, I'm losing light here. I'm not certain why. Anyhow, it comes to tell you that you can just take your power back, that you can heal, that this truth, what you thought was truth, is not the truth at all, and that you are limitless, and you have a lot of power, and you can be and do whatever you want to be and do. And then the rescue card says that you shouldn't be afraid to ask other people for help. and ask assistance. You don't have to do everything yourself. And maybe if you do have a lot of wounding or one specific inner child wound that held you back, then it's now maybe a bit scary for you to ask other people for help. But do that anyway. This message doesn't come for nothing, right? And with the unexpected visitors, that is saying that you can't plan everything just like that. That something is going to happen that you didn't plan for, or that that an unexpected something. Not necessarily people, it can be, but it's basically saying that life might have something else in store for you, and than what you would want or expect it. You can't always plan everything, and that it is good, right? It's try to see it as an adventure, and it's stepping out of the familiar as well, which might also be scary if you have had inner childhood issues still. Right, it might then be extra scary to step out of your comfort zone, to let go and to be and enjoy and see life as an adventure without controlling everything, without planning everything. So that this is where you are right now. So I think you're coming out of this for most of you, and because it still comes up that you are dealing with this as trying to control things, maybe planning things, etc., etc. And so I think for most of you, you're still coming out of that, but that's good, right? That's major improvement. But try to do this, or both of these actually, that asking for help, and also daring to go out of your comfort zone. Do small steps if need be, if otherwise it gets too scary for you, right? Now we're going to look at what you shouldn't do. Right, these are the cards from the Dark Goddess deck, and these are telling us what you must be mindful of not doing, otherwise you will stop that process that you're going through right now that we saw with the other cards. So first we have Nyx, and that says respite, and Isis, resurrection. And Nyx is telling you that not to be too afraid to share with other people what you want or your feelings or whatever it is, right? Don't be too distrusting and afraid to talk to other people, to share your deeper feelings and thoughts with other people. Confide, that's the word I was looking for. Do that, right? And I feel that goes together with this card, the rescue card, that said that don't be afraid to ask for help. And that basically is also sharing your feelings and saying, oh, I'm not certain how to do this, I don't know, I can't do it myself, could you help me out here, could you give me a hand, or whatever, It comes basically down to the same thing. So do not be afraid to do that. And Isis is about you sacrificing yourself for the sake of other people, basically pleasing other people, right? And then you lose yourself in that, and that you gave away the most precious thing that you have, you. And so then that means that you have to be mindful of that you don't do that, or don't do that anymore. The first one that you have to serve in life is yourself, right? The most important relationship in life is the one with you, with yourself. And so be yourself, and dare to do that. Take care of yourself and learn to say no to other people, because if you do that, you say yes to you. That's very important. So don't please, if you used to have that pattern, or maybe now you feel like with the unexpected stuff coming up, feel like, oh well, it's easier if you start pleasing, and then you will still not get out of your comfort zone if you then start to please. So be mindful of that. Right? You have to take care of yourself. That's the most important thing in life to do. And you can still, because of that, actually also goes together with asking for help. That's also taking care of you. We're not here on earth to do everything ourselves, to sort everything ourselves, to know everything ourselves. We're not hermits, right? It's okay to share. It's okay to trust and confide in other people. It's okay to ask for assistance. So that's for you very important. Now we're going to look at your last card. Right, well, this is totally fitting. Enter the magic, live in the now, seize the moment. And the message is the past is over. The future is a clean slate. The present moment is the most important there will ever be in your life. And that's true. Future isn't here yet, and the past is gone. All we have is now, right now, this very second. And as you speak, that second is already the past, right? The only thing we have is now. The only power we have and hold is in the now. And so it's important for you to live in the now, be present in the now, let go of the past. Don't let that define your future any longer. And the future can be anything. You create your future in the now. So it can be anything. And unless you let the now be defined by the past, what happened in the past, wounding, etc., that came up with the bone collector card, then your future will still be, based on that wounding. So that's why it's so important that you realize the past is gone. You can heal, you can create anything, be anything, do anything that you want. Live in the now, be in the now. And release all attachments to the past and maybe also the future or something happening in the future. If this happens in the future, then I can do this. No, that's not how it works. You have to take action and lay the foundation, build the foundation now for that future that you want, right? So practice living in the now so that each moment becomes a happy and healthy and love-filled present. It's your birthright to be happy and have a good life and enjoy the now. So this is what I have for you. I do hope it resonates, and thank you for watching. And till next time, bye. Number 3, your first 3 cards. Where you are now, we have slow and steady into the unknown and the stuck in the mud card reversed. This deck does reversals, so this is one of the few decks that I do that. With tarot or any other oracle card deck, I do not, but for this deck, it's important. You are in right now in a time, in a phase where you can't move as fast as you may like. And well, slow and steady wins the race, so that's good in that sense then, right? If you would rush through this, you would end up in, not in the place where you want to be, or it's best just for now to go slow and steady, and then you will get there. Reason for that is into the unknown. You're entering a new territory in your life, and and that may feel like, oh my god, I don't want to go there. And right, it doesn't have to be. Maybe you are enjoying it, but it's new territory, so you will have to find your bearings. Whether you're feeling a bit overwhelmed or not, you will still have to find your bearings. What's the best thing to do, where to go, and so on in that new situation. This is why you have to go slow and steady right now. And it messages also that this is the case because you're not only a path finder, but you are a path maker, at least for now in this moment in your life, right? It doesn't have to be that you're a path maker for everyone else in the world or for people, but for yourself right now. You're making a path, at least for yourself at the moment. And so you will have to figure out where you are and okay, new place, how do I deal with things, where do I go, uh, all that, right? And if you then try to control things, which is what this card is about, and basically like I want it this way, I need it to go that way, so you try to define what happens and define where you go, define etc etc. You get the drift, I suppose. Then you get this card stuck in the mud. It's just the more you wrestle and struggle in that mud, the deeper you sink into it. It's not working. The best you can do is to just allow that it's a bit uncomfortable maybe where you are, not knowing and stepping into a new place, a new territory, but it won't get you anywhere to struggle. It's the best thing to do is just observe where you are, accept it, allow it, and then you can simply step out of it. And then you can clean yourself off, right? Wash the mud off and dry yourself, and you can just be on your merry way again. So it's really very important to not throw resistance into the mix of where you are in this new territory. That's why it says slow and steady, right? And that's why you're into the unknown, just taking your time to feel how you should go, what your course of action should be, and so on and so forth. Don't throw resistance into the mix. Now we're going to look at your cards, what you shouldn't do. Well, we basically already discussed that, but let's just have a look anyway. Right, we have Persephone and Medusa. Persephone, compliance, and Medusa is appearance. And Persephone says that what you must be mindful of not doing is use sob stories. Now, this might not resonate with everyone. I'm going to elaborate on this, okay? So bear with me. Not use sob stories and then with that victimize yourself to get what you want or to get attention. Because that's not going to be the way you have to go, right? That probably keeps you stuck in the mud. And it's basically also saying that you are indeed in a bit of a difficult place right now, but you can get yourself out of that, but not by pretending basically to be something you're not with sob stories or things like that, right? And if you do go for sob stories and again victimize yourself in that sense, you will only attract negativity. You will attract more of the same of what you actually don't want anymore, because you're going into a new place, right? Into the unknown. So you have to leave the old familiar behind. So that's basically what that first card is saying. And so don't do that. And it might be that you get a tendency to do that, to come up with kinds of stories. And sob stories sound so terribly, Well, anyhow, but it could be because, well, look at her. She is also a bit of, she doesn't look like she's particularly enjoying where she is she? So it might be easy in this place to fall for that trap, to go for sob stories or pretend to be something you're not, which is what Medusa is saying, is to drop the mask of showing to the world an image of someone that's not you, which in that sense goes together with Persephone's message of the sob story. So that's what I said, is it might not necessarily be sob stories if you don't resonate with that, but there's other ways that you can present yourself in the external, in the outside world, that isn't really truly you, not the authentic you. You must be mindful of that. You have to be more authentic. You have to be true to yourself. And so drop these masks. And if that is scary, then find out why. Face those fears, work through them, right? Because if you are pretending to be something you're not, or wearing masks, that sounds a bit more, friendlier, in the outside world, being someone you're not really, then there's a reason you did that. You started doing that. And so then look at that, right? Work through that. And are you afraid that people will see you for who you really are? Does that scare you? And I'm asking that because that's also part of Medusa's message, is everyone who looks at Medusa turns into a stone pillar, right? And that was part of the curse, of Medusa's curse. So are you afraid to, to have people see you for who you truly are? Be mindful of these things, that maybe you are so uncomfortable of feeling so lost in this place that you develop a tendency to start doing either of these things or both, or but then the journey will be longer. The uncomfort in that new territory will be longer. Which was this card basically, right? Stuck in the mud. So, yeah, well, let's look at your unicorn card now. Well, this goes really very well with the other cards. Soul satisfaction. Honor your uniqueness. So again, no masks, right? Being you, authentically you, and do what makes you feel good, which is probably what you're finding out in that new territory, into the unknown, right? And it's a card of self-discovery. And what it also says is that during the golden era of Atlantis, things were entirely different than today, of course. When a baby was born, its aura was examined to discover the talents of the child, of the soul. And then when it grew, it was encouraged to develop these talents and to do something with it, because that's what it loved, right? It's what it was good at. And that meant that these children were also far more confident and in daring to do things and be authentic, to dare to be authentic. They were. And they were more satisfied at a deep level. But yeah, we don't live in the era, and not yet. We will get there again, at least that's the idea. But at the moment, we have to deal with what is, right? So we have to discover our gifts ourselves. You do too, which is likely what you're going through right now with the Into the Unknown card coming up. So if that resonates for you, then, well, take time for that, right? It's not something you can rush. It can take. It's quite a discovery. It's quite a journey to find out what your soul purpose is, what you're good at, what you want to do in life. And it might come with a lot of sidetracking and that's okay as well. But right now, that's why it's important that you go slow and steady. Give yourself time. And if you really want to know a bit more, if this all resonates, right, about discovering what you want to do, what you're good at, your talent, and so on and so forth, then, well, what they always say, like, what did you like to do as a child? And what did you want to do when you grew up? And you may not never have become that, but what was it that you actually wanted to do? And if you don't know that either, then ask yourself, just think, feel. What makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing in life? Is it gardening or painting or teaching or whatever? What does make you happy? And then how can you do more of that? And start small. Begin with these things, with those small steps. And otherwise you can just tune into a unicorn or spirit, if that's more familiar to you, and ask it to show you, make it clear to you. And then start listening to your intuition and heed synchronicities in life after you've asked for that, right? For clarification. And but this is, I think, what you're going through right now if you choose this set. Discovering that. That's why you're in the unknown. And don't try to control it. Remember that, right? And go with it. Relax, ease into it, and then you don't get stuck in the mud. You can just get out of it and take the time for it. Slow and steady wins the race. So that's what I have for you for now. Thank you for watching. I hope it resonates and that you enjoyed the reading. And I'll be back soon. Bye.